Hello everyone and welcome to another Tinfoil Tuesday. How is everyone doing? I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. Thanks for not being too upset you didn't see me yesterday. I had electrolysis and it went real rough, bruising all over my neck. Not fun. How's everyone doing? Let's see. Oh, good news. My Spock ears arrived. I'm still waiting for the Spock actual, like, costume part, but I did get the ears. So those are ready. Let's see what's going on in chat. Moss Sloth, thanks for 11 months, says, so excited to catch a stream from the beginning. My Discord notification didn't work, but I just so happened to check at the right time. Gonna get lots of knitting done while watching. Well, I hope you have fun purling and knitting and purling and whatever else is involved in that. Those are the two things I know. Jason Proxy, thanks for 65 streak, says, 2 weeks left, vote. I got my mom too, so that's one person. Mom, grandma, and myself outnumber my sister and brother-in-law, so we're +1 for Kamala. Good. Bittergrin, thanks for a 65 stream streak, and that catches us up. Cool beans. Hello, everyone on YouTube. If you could like the stream, I'd appreciate it. Dronder, how you doing? Talons, Horrifying Apocalypse. Welcome, welcome. We are playing bingo today, so make sure you get your bingo cards ready. Oh, shoot, I didn't reset the costume month goal. It's fine. You get it. I'll reset it next time. But as of right now, we're at 3 costume months. So we got plenty. All right, let's just jump into it, shall we? Boop, 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 boop. Oh, this is relatively short. This is only like 4.5 minutes. This is someone we haven't covered before. Her name is Anna Brown. Seems to be some kind of new age something or other.
Hello, sweet one. So, each and every human is actually a star. We are all stars in disguise. We are all heaven in disguise. And your awakening journey is remembering that you're a star.
I thought some people were just the devil in disguise.
That you're the Christ.
Or was that just rock music meant to get me off the wrong track?
You're the Buddha. In essence, you're God. So there's no rush for your awakening. There's no finish line because, well, you're beginningless and endless. You're an infinite consciousness. So I'd like to invite you to slow down because you're actually the creator of time. You're actually the creator of your path.
Dr. Baha, my wife, I hope nepotism doesn't interfere with this. I'm usually pretty good at giving people blessings for job opportunities. Dr. Baha, you will get this job. I so declare it with my Hannah aura.
And the more we slow down and become aware of awareness, in essence, we're meditating with our eyes open. You make your body, which is an antenna, a transmitter and a receiver of energy, you make it more open and available for your star energy, your Christ.
This is word salad, by the way, on the bingo card.
Energy, your Buddha energy. But if we're constantly relating to ourselves as just a mortal or a human, that belief is your reality.
I mean, I am a mortal and I am a human. I am a mortal human. Those are two of the things that I am. That is correct.
So I encourage you to tell your body you are a star, to confirm you are Christ, you are Buddha, you are awake, you are ascended. Because as you communicate with your body, this is whether it's conscious or unconscious communication, your body takes what you say, the master, and it gives birth to it as creation. So be so mindful of how you talk to yourself and how you talk to others. Because there is no others. So how you talk about others is really how you talk about yourself. And
wow, how many drugs did this take? There are no others. It's like she's constantly in a state of ego death.
how you talk about yourself is really how you talk about others. This is the golden rule. So if you can watch your inner dialogue and transform it into the highest vibrations, you're going to understand your power and your grace as the light of consciousness. But we do have to begin with being aware, being a really, really, really good observer, and not always attaching to every thought, emotion, and sensation that comes by, but being very picky with the thoughts and the emotions we choose.
I think you could call this vibes-based conspiracy. I think that's about all we have. Not much else to call it.
To play with, to flirt with, which leads to embodiment. So, I am is another name for the faceless and formless God that we are. So I encourage you to be very vigilant of what you put after I am. Because I am is unconditional.
Is it a conspiracy? I would say so. I'd say alt health stuff falls under the same umbrella of magical thinking, minimum. But magical thinking Tuesday isn't alliterative, so...
But whatever you say after it with conviction and feeling will become your avatar's programming, will become your world. And this is individually and collectively. So of course, go for the highest, go for the loveliest, the most romantic, the most splendid, the most uplifting for yourself and your neighbor. Try this out. Be vigilant, be aware, and choose the highest word. Choose the highest vibration, and watch how you become resurrected by your own light. Thank you. And blessings.
Feels like she's gonna start a cult. But whatever. Let's go to the panda thing. When you saw this title and it had to do with pandas not existing, I'm sure most of you knew exactly who was making those claims. It's Hans Wormhat. We did it. He's back.
This is a video about how pandas...
Would this be misunderstanding of Eastern religion for the Buddha stuff? Well, yes. We'll go with yes.
are fake and gay. It's not a real animal. It's just like a mascot suit for the country of China. And that's the reason that there's no ancient depictions of pandas, because it's not a real animal and it was just made up like 100 years ago or whatever. And what made me think of this, a friend shared this with me. Let me one-up it real quick. The way some ritual magic works best is if you keep putting out intentions long after the ritual is over. And the context was predictive programming. So not like predictive programming, but willful, ritualistic manifestation techniques. And I agree. What this reminded me of is just how with their psyops, they have to keep them alive. They have to keep them going. And you'll see with their fake hoax reality, anything that they've completely made up, like the panda, they got to keep the magic going. And that's...
So this is basically seems like a way he's justifying, well, if pandas were fake, I mean, they already faked it. Why do they keep going on about it? Because obviously the real answer is because pandas are real and they're a part of reality. But if you're Hans, you have to go, why do they keep hammering home this panda thing since it's obviously fake? So I'm assuming that's his justification here, is they have to keep casting the spell that is the fake pandas.
That's why you'll always hear panda stuff in the news. I mean, the movie Anchorman kind of makes a jab about that, how it's all about this media sensation thing about a panda. But when was the last time you heard media sensation stories about like a deer or an antelope or a squirrel or something?
The thing in Anchorman was sort of a pastiche of a real thing that happened, where around that time, when Nixon was president, trade and sort of formal relations between China and the United States were reopened, or kind of formally opened in the modern world for the first time. So, as a gift, China lent some large pandas, some giant pandas, to a zoo in the United States. So I believe that's a reference to that. It's a time period thing. And the panda bears were like a thing. I think those panda bears did have an actual baby, and it was kind of a little mini media, like, oh, the panda bears are having a baby thing. So that's it. They were foreign, like, rare animals that were in the United States. That's it.
Something, we don't get stories about real animals, and their fake ones get overexposure, and they got.
We already talked about that, Jay's a proxy.
Keep the magic going. So I'm just going to quickly read through this stuff. If you're new to this topic, I have a whole playlist about fake animals. Today I learned half of pregnancies in giant pandas result in twins, but the mother chooses the stronger cub and the other one is left to die of starvation. So often their fake stories are very emotional. There's probably 1,000 videos out there of emotional reunion of a chimp with they'll make up some crazy story about how this chimp is being reunited, and they'll be playing the sappy music in the background, and it's very common that they want to get an emotional reaction out of you, because if you feel sorry for a fursuit, then you already believe in it. If they can make you feel sorry for this thing, then you've already took the bait and you believe that it's real. And let's just look through some comments. We got some jokesters. I think this is just an excuse that the panda lobby has devised because they don't want to admit that the mother probably forgot she had 2 babies in the first place. Useless Chinese bears that are taking the jobs away from good American bears. So, this is just so BS. I've seen zookeepers steal the favorite panda cub, replacing it with the other one for the mother to care for. They take it into another room and bottle feed it. The mother just carries on. Apparently, panda motherhood is a love the one you're with sort of affair. They'll flip the cubs back and forth multiple times a day. But then how is she choosing the stronger one to begin with if she doesn't care and can't tell the difference? How are they making that choice to begin?
Because when they're both together, she prefers one, Hans. I think that's pretty clear based on the story that was just told. That's why they only do one at a time, is so she doesn't have that preference. When there are 2, she only takes care of one. That's why they keep it one at a time.
Begin with to get the stronger one. This just sounds like a bunch of BS. They gotta have an excuse. They have excuses for everything. Do you guys know how there's people out there that they have an excuse for everything? It's not hard to come up with excuses. And these people, that's all they do. If you ever question their bullshit, they have an excuse for everything. And that's not...
Have you considered that answers to your questions aren't excuses? Hans is the kind of person that's intensely suspicious of anything. And as soon as he has that suspicion, everything you tell him to try and assuage that suspicion is a lie. It's impossible to deal with. Mo Emery's of Caldera, thanks for 32 months, says 32 months of tinfoil, now I sparkle in the microwave.
It shouldn't impress you when people have excuses for everything. I can come up with an excuse for anything if I wanted to, and...
You could! And honestly, it kind of feels like what you do.
That's just how they are with the psyops. They'll have an answer to anything. Oh, but that's so tragic. Why would they do that? Why would the zookeepers just let them abandon one? Oh, well, don't worry. They switch it out and they trick the pandas.
What do you mean,
There's at least one zoo where they trick the mother with a bamboo stick. They give it to the mom to eat. Then they make the swap while she's distracted. So the mom doesn't even know it's a different cub. Well, how could they know which one's more fit and make that decision to abandon the other one if they are so stupid that they can get distracted by a piece of bamboo really quick? Yeah, pandas are not real. They're people in fursuits. Go to any panda video of them flopping around and you'll see people in the comments who know. They know that they're fursuits. They'll comment about them being drunk people in suits, and yeah, it's because they know. And
or they're making jokes, Hans? They're making jokes about, oh, pandas are so silly and look so dumb, they're like drunk people.
Nikocado Avocado probably knows that pandas are just a mascot suit.
Oddly specific.
He just did that weird panda thing. It also...
Oh, he did. He did had the panda head on his reveal. I remember.
It does get... It is related to the nasty things that these people do to children as well. I do believe that there is that connection.
What does that have to do with anything? I'm sorry, I gotta fix something real quick. I'll be right back. While I go somewhere, Chair will tell you about ghost stories. Be right back. Just one sec, sorry. I'm back, sorry about that. My hair part was bothering me.
Of China's one-child policy. Lots of information. So here's the we got a Reddit expert to come clear the air and make
it. Annoys me so much that Hans goes out of his way to surf Reddit and then he gets upset at people being so-called Reddit experts. Like, yeah, it's a random person on the internet. Like, no one's telling you to listen to them or assume they're right. This person probably isn't a scientist or anything. It's just a random person on Reddit, and then you get mad that you seeked out people on Reddit to get their opinions, and then you're like, you're just a Redditor. Yeah, don't listen to them then. What are you doing?
Get serious. Lots of information here, actually. Pandas are evolutionarily successful by definition in existing today. They'll say the same thing about koalas. Koalas have the same issues. I do not believe in koalas. I think they are animatronics and puppets. Maybe there used to be some sort of marsupial that looked like, I don't know. The old pictures of pandas or of koalas look weird. So I have a bunch of videos on koalas as well. I know for a fact that when I grew up, it wasn't the San Diego Zoo. It was the Wild Animal Park. They literally stuck a stuffed animal in a little glass closet and passed it off as an animal. Anyways, the breeding problem is also known to be specifically a captivity. They have an excuse for everything. Oh, it's just because they're in captivity. That's the problem. Okay, well, I mean, another point about this, and it goes back to keeping it in the public consciousness, you'll always be able to be shocked about the new information coming out about their fake animals. The lore on their fake animals is always evolving. When
we learn new things about animals.
I know that sloths did not. They did not tell us that sloths were covered in moss all the time. That's like a new invention.
Not a new invention. What are you talking about? I remember that as a kid. Ashley One Up says, I would pay for Hans to try and take the head off of a gorilla suit. I would not. I would rather him not get mauled by a wild animal.
And panda. This is just like a new panda thing. Who's ever heard about this? They probably came up with this like 10 years ago or something. And they're able to just make up lore about fake animals in a way that we don't... I mean, when was the last time you heard a news story about a deer or something? My final point...
like a year ago?
I'm
not going to get further into that. Just a year ago is the last time I heard a local news story about a deer.
Real bears. I tried to look up, like, what is the most closely related bear to a panda bear? They said something about the South American bear that I've never heard of. And if
Hans never heard about something, it can't be real because he knows everything.
The way that their magic works. They shove panda bear, panda bear, panda bear into your head. And instead of teaching us about real life, like we should know about all the other real bears. And we should have cute videos of real bears.
We should know about the real bears! Fuck these fake bears! Justice for real bears!
In the news or pictures of we get their fake.
It is interesting that he thinks bears are real broadly, just not panda bears. but he thinks they're humans in suits. Why doesn't he just think they're other kinds of bears that have been painted or had their hairs dyed? It's interesting that I didn't realize he believed in other kinds of bears.
Stuff. Children are taught about just outer space balls and dinosaurs all the time. They constructed this imaginary reality to keep people in. And it's a huge disservice because we don't know about so much real beauty, and God really did make all sorts of amazing creatures. So it's a huge disservice that all we have in our head is sloth, panda, koala, instead of knowing.
Those are the 3 animals. You don't get to learn any more. Unstable Deadbeat with 100 bits says, this just reminded me that this season on the reality show Big Brother, there was a conspiracy theorist who openly discussed her belief that hamsters were created in a lab as part of some kind of conspiracy and don't exist in the wild. That sounds like the kind of story you make up as a contestant on a reality show. So people remember you, so they go, don't vote out that girl, she's the hamster conspiracy theory girl. That's my conspiracy, though, is that actors and actresses trying to get work on reality shows make stuff up to seem interesting.
The real animals out there. What is this? Spectacled bears is what it said was most closely related. The AI. Cute. And I couldn't find anything about spectacled bears abandoning one of their cubs. I mean, in your mind, think of like a mama bear with cubs. Sometimes you think of them with one cub, but a lot of times there are multiple cubs playing together. So it really makes...
So what I think about is irrelevant, because what I think about it is mostly dictated by pop culture depictions of bears or what I've seen at the zoo, because I don't see bears in the wild. At least I've been fortunate enough to not see bears in the wild.
Makes no sense that a panda bear would abandon, and it also makes no sense that if a mother is going to be so choosy to like pick out the strong one and abandon the other one, that they would be otherwise completely oblivious to everything. Oh, give them a piece of bamboo and swap it out and they'll have...
I think he's overestimating the intelligence of certain animals.
No idea that you just swapped it out. Well, if they have no idea, how did they know that one of them was stronger than the other one if it can't tell the difference? Anyways, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Pandas are fake and gay.
Oh, this is short. This isn't a big deal, but I thought this was funny. This is going to be shilling/scamming on the bingo card. You know the super soldier people with, what's his name? James Rink? He brought on a guy to just shill an MLM legal service to his audience. This is just a 25-minute ad.
Well, hello everybody. We have another special guest here today. We have Jason with us, and he's going to be sharing some more information about Legal Shield.
Perfect. Well, yeah, I'm really hoping nobody's rolling their eyes because, to be honest, over the next 10, 15 minutes, they're going to be able to see something that totally changed my life. You know, about a year ago, I was actually introduced to Legal Shield, and about 14 months ago, I actually lost my kid's mother unexpectedly. And unfortunately, we hadn't had a will set up. And I've been taking care of our daughter since she's 3 years old. She's not my biological daughter, but I've been taking care of her since she's 3, and she's now...
So the next 25 minutes are an MLM pitch. Pretty unfortunate. The group of people that are already pretty gullible, so that's unfriggin' fortunate. Ashley1up says, pandas must be fake because they never do things real bears do, like stealing picnic baskets. And Fennikagami says, bears and other mammals eat their young in times of famine. Yummy.
Well, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Control. So your eyes and you can see all.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Houston, we have a problem.
Some of you have opened your eyes and you can see all the lies that they sell you, but many of you have not. And you still don't quite realize that you're under total control. So this This video is kind of for the haters, the ones that just love to curse me out 15 times over, calling me every name in the book, all because of how stupid I am. I'm such a moron. So just watch this video. Hopefully I can show you how we feel, how it looks from our end. But again, don't trust me. Do your own research. You need to find your own truth.
Do your own research on the bingo card.
But I'm telling you, before you comment how much you hate me and all the ways you want me to die, watch this video. Think about it for 10 minutes. Research it for an hour, maybe even 2. And if you still feel like I deserve your hate and your deeply ingrained anger, well, so be it. Curse me out. I know my parents are siblings. You're embarrassed for the human race. I should be drowned. Enjoy yourself. Then go ahead and enjoy your fake ball Earth. So let's see. Where should I start? How about, oh yeah, NASA.
Trouble in space this morning as the International Space Crew attempted a spacewalk outside the station. Here's a live look at the astronauts. Well, I don't believe those are astronauts. Yeah,
Where's their spacesuit?
Yeah, where is their spacesuit? Are we going to keep making excuses or realize that's a room with a model ISS and a model Earth?
No, it's not. That's a wrong clip they cut to. I don't know what that is, but that has nothing to do with the NASA story. That's a local news station pulling the wrong B-roll. That's interesting that he read into that and was like, that's a model. No, this is B-roll from a completely unrelated story. If you've ever watched local news, you know that happens. They film a lot of B-roll for their stories, and then they pull it. So they just pulled the wrong B-roll for this, and he assumes not only is this not NASA, it actually is secretly NASA, but it's a model. Like, that's how far it went. He saw this, which is literally just B-roll of some people working at some factory, I don't know what it is specifically, and went, that's a model of the ISS. Which, even if that was the case, it isn't. But imagine NASA did fake space. Why would they let the news come in and shoot B-roll of it? Doesn't really make any sense.
We're going to keep making excuses or realize that's a room with a model ISS and a model Earth. Next, let's watch a 1980s surgical procedure.
Now came the most critical part of the mission. 2 space surgeons began a complicated operation to replace several black boxes buried inside the satellite. After slicing open the skin, they disconnected hundreds of wires and then reconnected them, using the cargo arm as a moving work platform.
Cut these wires to pick this guy up here. Okay, it's a little bit more. So we can see your hand now. See if we can see your thumb.
There's a YouTube channel that posts B-roll local news footage from the 80s and 90s. Yeah, I have a lot of channels that I'm subscribed to that do stuff like that. They usually don't have audio, unfortunately, because when they shot it, they just shot it without audio because it's B-roll. They didn't need audio for it, but it can be interesting sometimes to look at.
Okay, well, that's a good scan of it. There you got the cut.
We can see your hand now. We can see your thumb. Watch again at this pressurized glove as it bends just like a normal thumb would.
It's a little bit more. So we can see your hand now.
Does he understand that they make the gloves specifically to be able to do this? Not as much as you would be able to freely without gloves on, but yeah, you need to be able to have fine motor control when you're wearing the suit to do the work. No one said that they're like rigid robot hands.
1969 to 1972, lunar takeoffs, never an issue. What a ride, what a ride.
Have ignition, flight.
Yeah, just an easy reconnect with the ship, and back you go to Earth. Yeah, an easy 250,000 miles. And we made 6 of those takeoffs. Never an issue. NASA can't even go a year on Earth without some sort of huge explosion. Yet 50 years ago, they went 6 times, and there was never an issue. 200.
Are you familiar with Apollo 13? Kind of a famous story. And then later with the shuttle program, the quite famous incidents that happened a couple times where the shuttle exploded, the Columbia, the Discovery.
50,000 miles. If you got in your car on Christmas Day and started driving 60 miles per hour and you
Apollo 1.
didn't stop, not to eat, not to sleep, you wouldn't get there until June 15th.
And that doesn't even go into the USSR's, like, murder fest that happened with some of their cosmonauts.
73 days. And time out real quick, because you all like to laugh and joke. Ha ha, flat Earth, you'd be able to see China from the USA. Well, I think you're a little bit confused. Flat Earthers say, admit and understand that our sight is very limited distance-wise. Remember...
Yeah, but you would be able to see it with a telescope. This is an older video Jaren has them re-uploaded, so it's interesting tackling some of these older arguments that they don't use anymore. Yes, if the Earth was flat, obviously you would still be limited by your own distance that your eye can see, but humans have telescopes. So if the Earth was flat, you would be able to go up to the top of a building or something, and with a strong enough telescope, be able to zoom in on some location very far away that you shouldn't be able to see on a round Earth. They don't do that because they can't do that because the Earth is round.
It's you that thinks you see details and craters on a moon 250,000 miles away. It's you who say that the sunspots that I've taken pictures of are on a sun 93 million miles away. Even better, the furthest star that the human eye can see unaided is 95 quadrillion miles away. So, is it the flat earthers who are crazy, or the ball earthers?
The flat ones.
I'd say the crazy ones are whoever believes this is what the sun looked like on Halloween just because NASA says so. Oh, I haven't seen any articles on it yet, but I did take this image of the sun yesterday. Whew, look at that. Interesting magnetic dark spots.
Why isn't he using light years as a measurement? He's trying to illustrate specifically how long that is, because if you just said however many light years, it's a smaller number, so he's trying to give a big number to make it sound unbelievable. Because to him, it's a big enough number that that's impossible.
Almost looks like a word. Who knows? And in this clip, the person asked the question we all ask after the plane has landed. Are we on the ground?
Hey, Roy, are we down now? That was, are we on the ground? Absolutely. It was beautiful, and you certainly lived up to your motto this flight. Welcome home. Yes, sir. We deliver.
Next, we get to watch the miracles of modern science. Those very high, very expensive, very impressive satellites. Thanks for keeping my...
yeah, that can be doesn't understand how cameras work on the bingo card.
Internet and cell phone going strong. Satellites in space, we thank you. Now, that was just a joke. If you actually think your internet or your cell service come from space, then you should probably study your holy text, because even Wikipedia, the NKJW, says fiber optic cables and cell towers. Alright, let's watch some satellites.
This was a weird one. That's an argument they don't use anymore. Flat earthers, would basically be like, oh, you think like he just did it. Oh, you think satellites are how your cell phone works? No. Cell phone towers are. But they thought satellites were how cell phones and internet worked, so they started using that as like a proof that because they were wrong about how phones and internet worked, somehow that was proof that space didn't exist because there weren't a bunch of satellites doing it. Very strange.
Satellites, feel free not to question any of these.
This was, of course, before Starlink, too. I know there are other satellite internet services, but that's the one that's probably most famous now.
Because science says they're true, and we worship men, so let's go.
A communication satellite launched from the cargo bay on a spring. Later, the satellite's built-in booster rocket would hurl it into a much higher orbit. Many more of these launches would
GPS does use satellites. I think they claim it's balloons.
follow, each bringing its own breathtaking beauty.
Can't you just sit back and admire the breathtaking beauty? Or you can build your own. For this particular satellite, you'll need a paper plate and a paper towel holder. Up to you how many paper plates you use. I always double or triple them up. You know, you need a good sturdy base for the 4,000 degree temperature it'll face, plus the constant onslaught of solar radiation. Then, deploy.
Your criticism is you don't like how the satellite looks because you think it looks like a paper plate or something.
Each bringing its own.
That indeed looks like a dish with some sort of structure on it. I don't know how it works because I'm not a scientist. But to say, I think it looks like a paper plate, therefore that's what it isn't illustrative of, like, the ability to kind of accept reality? I don't know.
Own breathtaking beauty, improving communications to link the countries of the world, telling us more about Earth's resources and how to use them, helping us predict the weather, and teaching us more about the alien environment of outer space.
I mean, what more do we need to call this a hoax besides the music?
You don't have to like the music, but it's weird to say that that's why you think it's a hoax.
This one here is a bit more expensive. It requires a toilet and then wrapping it in a bed sheet, so I don't recommend that. Who has that kind of time and money to waste anyway? Only NASA.
That's a nice view of the sun right there.
But once again, his evidence is, I think part of this satellite looks like a different object, therefore I am confident in saying this entire object is fake.
And that's
genius. Truly genius thought.
It's not the sun. If that's the sun, then this must be the moon.
Sorry, by the way, I have something in my eye in the corner. I'm kind of working out.
There she goes. We have a deploy.
I guess.
Well, he certainly seemed real excited. They deploy the satellite, and he says, I guess.
There she goes. We have a deploy.
I guess.
In both cases, the satellite's booster rockets fizzled out, and they were stranded in space, one after another. The 3 satellites are launched into perfect orbits. 2 of the satellites using the same booster that caused so much trouble in the past. A dark cloud hanging over the space program has suddenly vanished.
Vanished?
This guy's a real believer.
I'd say the...
Yeah, this is an old Jeranism video he re-uploaded recently.
dark cloud over the space program is about as dark as it's ever been. Now, you may not know this, but the shuttle, or the orbiter, does not have any jet engines. It's supposed to be a glider. So you tell me if you can hear the sounds of a jet engine, or if it sounds like a glider.
Touchdown. Discovery now rolling out. Runway 15 at Kennedy Space Center. After a 2.5 million mile service call, the crew of 51A is home.
It just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
It made noise as it was stopping, therefore you think it's a jet?
Fuck. Oh my.
Bill, you're preaching to the choir. Now remember, there is no sound in space. Yes, it could vibrate through your suit and into your microphone, but watch this clip and tell me if you think that we can hear sounds in space. Space. Certainly sounds like water to me. And this, yeah, that is the shuttle on top of the ISS that flies around the planet at 17,000 miles per hour and takes pictures like this.
I
don't think so, Tim.
I mean, look what you got here. A nice table set for 4. You got your gold napkins, you got your plates, your chalices, even a centerpiece.
Pretty sure the gold stuff is thermal protection.
Courtesy of Japan. So what everyone needs to realize here is that we're being tricked by a fisheye lens. It takes what we see with our own eyes and distorts it into a ball. I mean, of all things, we're being fooled about where we live. I I mean, it really isn't even trickery. It's simply teach the lie and tell people the truth is stupid.
Provides you with full, circular, 180-degree fisheye images, giving you very dramatic images and video footage. But the coolest thing is that you can zoom in to 15mm, where you get a fisheye image that covers the full image circle, giving the lens a dual role. So this is an incredible lens for shooting inside any beautiful building, or if you simply want to embrace some new perspectives and get creative.
You mean like, I don't know, fooling 7 billion people?
I don't think that's the selling point of this particular lens, no. Wiggy32, thanks for following.
I need an expert opinion. Crime Box, your opinion of this, please. Really, it comes down to perfect mathematics, you see. It's not a hoax. It's real. You live on the most perfect shape of all shapes, the sphere. What's more round and accommodating than the sphere? How do you know you can live on a sphere? Because someone told you. If you think we didn't land on the moon, then you're a knobhead. Don't ask me any more questions. I think I better get out of sphere.
But let's take a look at sharpness levels. We'll start on a full-frame camera, in this case a 20-megapixel Canon 6D. At 8mm and with the aperture wide open at f4, we see fantastic sharpness, colours and contrast in the centre of the image. The sharpness is also very good in the image corners, although we can see some chromatic aberration or disturbing...
Look familiar? Of course it does. Fooling the world with a fisheye lens, no stars, no 24-hour feed, no live night shots. NASA basically has no evidence for anything it tells us besides its word, and honestly, how good is that?
Oh, Jeranism. Marcus Drake says that sounded less like Brian Cox and more like Michael Jackson out of breath. It was a confounding impression. I don't get what he was going with there, but let's take a look at the bingo card. Let's see, we have... flat Earth. Doesn't understand how cameras work. Vibes-based conspiracy. Shilling scamming. Word salad. Do your own research. Anything else? I don't think we had like deep state or anything. 37 for PSYOP. Yeah, for the panda thing, that makes sense. We haven't had sky is fake, I don't believe. I wouldn't count that as he yells at clouds. That's a pretty specific thing. Predictive programming. Predictive programming for what? Oh, yep, Eastern religion for the Buddha thing. Forgot about the Buddha thing. No, not gay agenda for the pandas. I don't even think he brought that up. Hold on, what's 31 and 10? We did have 31. What's predictive programming for? A couple people said it. Like, what's your justification? Like, who said a thing that was predictive programming?
Let's speak about the devil, horn, demon, Satan, Lucifer, and all that stuff, and reptiles. This is from a TV series called Childhood's End. I think it's from 2015 or something. It's a while ago, but yeah, Childhood's End. Well, the first...
No, Unstable Deadbeat, it does not count.
photo is from Childhood End. The one in the central part of the picture is from the well-known movie Hellboy, and the one on the right is from a movie or like TV series called Legend. And we see horned devil demon in movies and TV series entertainment. The one on the left is
yes, this is the guy who asked Nazis to come save him.
Horns, I think it's called. The one in the central part is from Buffy, the famous TV series Buffy and the movies, and the one on the right is from the TV series Lucifer, right? So same, I'm just trying to, I'm showing you what they're doing in entertainment, movies, and music. The first two on the left are...
Oh, wait, let me see if I can do this. This is interesting. This is Spot the horned creature. The one on the far left is from Tenacious D's song Tribute. That is Satan from that. The next one I don't recognize. The next is from Pan's Labyrinth. And the final one on the far right is from Maleficent.
From two music videos. The one in the central right is from Pan's Labyrinth.
Am I having dry eye? There's like something... My eye's been watering a ton, and I feel like there's something in my eye, like I'm finally getting something out that's like been stuck in there for a while. But I'll stop. I know that's gross. I'll try and deal with it after stream.
It's very famous. And the one on the right...
yes, popular media is evil on the bingo card.
Is from Maleficent, right? Very famous movie from Angelina Jolie. Although I prefer Angelina Jolie as when she was hot as Tomb Raider. You know Tomb Raider, Lara Croft from video games? Awesome stuff. So yeah, let's move on. This is reptilians in movies, of course.
The one on the far left is James Earl Jones, snake villain from Conan the Barbarian. The middle one I don't recognize. The one on the far right kind of looks like a Star Trek thing, but I don't recognize it from Star Trek. So I don't know what that one is, unfortunately. I'm failing.
The one on the left and the right are from more older movies, where they were using these suits and stuff, but quite well done. The one on the left is quite well done. I think that's from the Conan the Barbarian, right? Your reptilian guy. And the one in the central part is from the famous movie Jupiter Ascending. People said it's a very lame movie, but if you know to understand the messages in Jupiter Ascending, it's supreme. But yeah, it's very...
Channing Tatum, Wolf Boy, Hunk Man. Yes, it's a very, very well thought out movie.
Mixed, so we have to really be careful how we understand it.
Mila Kunis, Space Princess.
And these are like also reptilians in movies, and I think the one, it's like from the Land of the Lost, and Stargate and Star Trek. Of course, you can see their suits, so it's from the times of the 1970s, 80s, and 90s when CGI was not like in the movies of today, and the music videos. But
those images of the Slee Stack are from the remake with Will Ferrell, I'll have you know.
And this is like the stuff you see on the internet back in the days when YouTube was allowing more videos about the Second World War and the forbidden stuff.
Overt anti-Semitism on the bingo card.
On very many sites on the internet and stuff, they combine these UFOs, which are electromagnetic. They say they're anti-gravity, and they put reptilians and stuff. If you dare to speak about something else, like Germans, everybody goes nuts, and they scream and yell at you, and they call you things and stuff, and they're very bad people. So yeah, but this is the type of thing you find on the internet. And then this is again from the Childhood's End and Jupiter Ascending, and the main characters, the devils or the demons, they have how do you call these, goat legs, you know, like Baphomet in the Masonic stuff and lodges. So Baphomet is with goat legs, you know, the goat legs and the goat horns and stuff. So that's the same here, so you know how you see them in movies. And the claws. And this is Childhood's End, one of the overlords, which is one of the bosses there with his wings and red, like typical stuff you would say if you speak with a person on the street, anybody. It doesn't have to be a normal person. You say, show me a description of your, what do you think about the devil, right? And if you show him this and say, yes, that's the devil, yeah. So yeah, this is like with two kids of different races. And yeah, this is the end. Well, it's one of the scenes, yeah, in the TV series. Let's make it bigger, yeah. And there's also a Baphomet. In one of the lodges in the world, there's a Baphomet statue with two kids, so I think they got the inspiration from there. And this is like a close-up zoom to the eyes, so yellow eyes with the reptilian look of the overlord boss in Childhood's End TV series. This is a statue of Peruvian gods in Peru. In the country, Peru. The one
not even close to the other depictions you've shown of things. These are complete reptilians.
The left is... the Peruvian god Morop, Morop, and the one on the right is Ay Apaek, the decapitator demon. So that's and these are true statues that they have there in Peru.
I'm gonna be honest, I think having a domain as a god of decapitations is probably pretty sweet. Clean, you know? It's not a bunch of things. You don't have to deal with like, oh, I'm the god of the harvest, or I'm the god of bounty. Kind of vague. No, god of beheadings. Easy to understand. I have one focus, and it's removing your shoulders from your head.
Regarding humanoid reptilians. And this is the famous story of Moses in the Bible, right? With where the copper serpents, God, Yahweh or Yahweh sends the serpents, and it's like a winged serpent. So again, reptilian wing and stuff. Hey, Bible, Yahweh, Moses, winged reptilians. Bible, I'm sorry, I just tried to... stuff. And this is the Vatican. This is the Pope Audience Hall. Again, you see the whole hall is made to be like a serpent head with the scales and the eyes and everything. Snake head. And then the eye, reptilian eye. This reminds me of the Lord of the Rings, right? Mordor as well. Sauron. And now you know that Vibes of Cosmos has shown where the map of Mordor is. Everything is...
That's a globe. I don't know what the obfuscation in front of it is. Guessing it's angle dependent. Phyllis Filler says that's why Dr. Guillotine, roughly pronounced Guillotin, was beautified by the Vatican. He's the patron saint of beheadings. Really? That's hilarious. Overthought says, all hail the space pope.
Once you understand that the moon and the Mars stuff, if you watch my Vibes of Cosmos videos. And again, this is what is the representation in the Vatican Hall of the reptilian god. It's a winged reptilian with wings, and that's it. It's just a reptilian. Sure, people would say...
I don't think that's a reptilian. I don't know what specific tableau it's trying to illustrate, but I imagine it's something biblical, or at least something Christian-y, Catholic-y, whatever. Phyllis Filler says, only a joke. He wasn't sainted to my knowledge. Aw, what a shame.
No, it's the face of Jesus Christ. Yeah, if you look at it like that, but if you know, symbology is very important. You can actually see it's the head of like a reptile. So yeah, it's just symbology is very important. Famous Loki from the Avengers, right? Loki with horns, and the Chitauri. Chitauri, this reptilian force from a different dimension, right?
I wouldn't call the Chitauri reptilian. They're alien.
Of course, in the movie, you have to separate the whole thing with the universe and CGI and space and stuff and spinning balls. But the point, right, with the movies and the Avengers and stuff. And this, well, the famous Goblin. You know, before when we were kids, we just saw this guy as the evil villain from Spider-Man, right? The
Green Goblin.
The Green Goblin. The Green Goblin and the...
Does this guy have a point? I'd really hope, since we've been listening to him for 5 minutes, point to things that he thinks are similar in category.
The Goblin. Well, now you know where the goblins and all this stuff comes from, even in the Lord of the Rings and the Dungeons and Dragons and the video games and World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy, and then of course Spider-Man. And in Spider-Man, the Lizard Man. When I watched the 1990s cartoons of Spider-Man on Fox Kids, I'm a kid of the 90s and I enjoyed it so much. The 1990s Spider-Man, it was like my favorite. Super awesome in the 90s. Imagine different times, no internet.
No, Goblin isn't reptile, but he seems to think he is, or at least compare the two because green.
And I saw the Lizard Man. I didn't make much of it. But okay, another villain of Spider-Man, right? Lizard Man. The Lizard Man, the lizard in...
Lizard, he's just called the Lizard. It's Kurt Connors.
Spider-Man. Although I prefer to be Spider-Man, let's be honest. If I have to be a kind of humanoid, I prefer to be Spider-Man and not Lizard Man. And Spider-Man is so cool. And this is from Toy Story. Toy Story has this episode on one of the Blu-ray discs. It's like an extra, so it's never been made any...
We need to have a space for conspiracy theorist mentions Blu-rays.
Advertising is like a hidden extra gem, and one of the only people who bought the discs have this. It's called Battle Swords, and the guys from Toy Story have to battle against a race of reptiles, humanoid reptiles, right? Same stuff over again. They didn't make much publicity about this. That time forgot. It was like a hidden gem made specifically for the discs, as if like they made it on purpose. And this is
as if they made it on purpose. I mean, they did make it's hard to make a CG animated short accidentally.
The reptilian head of the lizard Komodo dragon. It's actually called in certain parts of the world. There's this lizard, very big lizard. It's called the Komodo, Komodo dragon. And that's the type. You look at it and reminds me of Conan the Barbarian movie. And
all right, we've swung back around to the Conan thing near the beginning. Do we have a point? What is the thesis of this
things
video?
we see in the movies? That's the Komodo dragon. So yeah, what's the purpose of this video? What do you want to make?
Thank you. Yeah, we're in the last like 10%. You wanna elucidate us?
Of it. Remember, don't forget that we spoke about giants, white, red-haired, and blonde. We spoke about the
giants on the bingo card.
Germans, and we spoke about, well, we had the Mahabharata and the UFOs and the type of like human gods that have technology and weapons of mass destruction. But we also have this. Now, I still don't know until this point if all this thing with, I'm going to show you more stuff of the artwork, but I just want to show you these pictures here because they're color and they're more beautiful and they're more shocking to the eye. So I still don't know if all this we see here is just like the type of thing they do today in movies and entertainment to just portray a message. We do have sculptures and artwork in the ancient societies and ancient cultures that display the same thing and the whole thing with lots of stuff. But I still don't know if that's just
yeah, this can count as reptilians.
A part of a human imagination, or if truly there's just different type of humanities. There's humanities of white, beautiful giants that we call the elves in stories, and like the Pleiades.
Literally, all he had to do was open this video with a collage of various fictional demons and reptile people and gone, syncretism! And it would have had the exact same amount of information in it as this 10-minute video.
And stuff, and then there's these like humanoids.
Yeah, ancient wisdom on the bingo card.
Which are reptiles and stuff.
Goth Geek Gaming says, I meant this to be a bits message in case he misses this most evil reptile. And it's Charmander, or wait. Oh god. Charmander? Yeah, Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard. I forgot for a second which one was which. We did it. We did it. Okay, let's move on from this guy.
So it could be that they're different races, just like we have races of humans today. We are so different as species of races of humans.
Oh boy, races and species aren't the same thing. All right, let's look at the bingo card. Jesus Christ. Ancient wisdom. Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident, I guess? Giants. Satanic. Overt anti-Semitism. Reptilians? Honestly, I'll give aliens or demons for that, too. That seems to be kind of the implication, because he was also talking about Pleiadians and stuff. Popular media is evil. I think that's it. I don't think any of those images were AI, at least to my knowledge. Have I considered using my job blessing powers upon Kamala? That's a good point. I hereby use my job blessing powers to get Kamala Harris the presidency. I did it. I did it, everyone. I expect after the election, all of your adulation for something that clearly I did, and no one else. Uh-oh. Conspiracy music video time.
is the truth. In debt, your payments past due. Your life just races past you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you.
The Matrix on the bingo card.
We are enslaved like cattle, held back with chains and shackles. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. In debt, your payments past due. Your life just races past you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. We are enslaved like cattle, held back with chains and shackles. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. There is a hidden agenda at play. Same old bullshit, but a different day. They're telling us lies and they're getting away, deceiving the world and it isn't okay. Get out my way, cause I'm shining the light on these bastards with every chance that I get. Attempting to wake people up to this nonsense until the elite just can't handle this shit. Sick of living life in utter madness. So sick of them treating us like maggots. Look at textbooks taught in classes. Do some research, nothing matches. Then they start waving their Hollywood wands. No sign of a brain because all of it's gone. That's where they wanted you at all along. Stuff that you think you know, all of it's wrong. These people stay lying, even though most ain't buying the mainstream manipulation, but still they stay trying. Look what happened on 9/11. Look what happened.
God damn it. 9/11 out of nowhere on the bingo card.
That Sandy Hook. These fancy
oh, fuck you, man.
History in their fancy books. In debt, your payments past due. Your life just races past you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you.
Boxers, thanks for 11 months with Prime.
We are enslaved like cattle, held back with chains and shackles. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. In debt, your payments past due. Your life just races past you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. We are enslaved like cattle.
Oh, a bingo. Let's take a look. Chilling, 5-space conspiracy, free space psyop, 9/11 out of nowhere. That is indeed a win. Let me get you your gift sub real quick while we continue this video.
Held back with chains and shackles. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Welcome to your trauma-based mind control. When will the shit end, man? I don't know. Until then, there's no place I won't go. I'm trying to wise up, rise up, and fight the foe. Yo, I don't give a fuck if you call the cops. This is over to the dose, and I'm not gonna stop.
I don't care if you call the cops. What do you think you're talking about? Flat Earth, man. What do you think you're talking about? So that's our bingo winner for the day. We'll still play for fun, but that's the official bingo win.
Nobody in my life is gonna call the shots, unless it's just me, so it's all or not. The way that they have us all living is sad. Humans are stupid, conditions are bad. I promise that you won't be digging the future. You're gonna be missing the shit that you had. I don't even know if we can ever even win. The only thing I'm sure of is I'll never sleep again. If you think you know anything, then you better think again. Just a part of a story that might not ever even end. Oh no, how can it be? This world is testing me. Won't give up readily. This is my destiny. I won't quit till my heart stops ticking. Searching for the part that's missing. Seeking truth, I'm on a mission. I can see, I got that vision. In debt, your payments past due. Your life just races past you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix
What's
has
record for the fastest bingo? Like 20, 30 minutes, I think, something like that.
We are enslaved like cattle, held back with chains and shackles. Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. There is a hidden agenda, and it's hidden right up in plain sight.
Oh no, there's a singy section. Oh, and he's right in the camera about it.
Wake up, the Matrix has you. Wake up, the Matrix has you. There is a hidden agenda, and it's hidden right up in plain sight.
There is a hidden agenda, and it's hidden right there. Basically how he sounds.
You can try your best to not let them get you, but the new world order's about to take flight. The system that we live in was...
That was terrible. It's pretty good.
The nose. It's a completely unique cone-like structure of flesh, bone, cartilage, and nerves. It sits right in the middle of the human face and is arguably a person's most identifiable feature.
I don't agree with that statement, but I don't really know how to debate it. I don't know how to debate that, so I'm gonna let it go.
The nose also has a spiritual significance. The word nose and nose is the most blatant example of the connection between knowledge and nostrils.
Incorrect word etymology is evidence.
Other examples are more gruesome. The history of nasal mutilation can be tracked way back to the Dark Ages, and unfortunately still continues in some countries to this day. From the Quran, Surah 68, 10, 16. Nor yield to the wretch of many oaths, the mischief-making slanderer, the opponent of good, the wicked transgressor, the bully of doubtful birth to boot. Though such a man be blessed with wealth and children, when our revelations are recited to him, he says, "They are but fables of the ancients." On the nose we will brand him. From the King James Bible, Ezekiel 23:25. And I will set my jealousy against thee, and I shall deal furiously with thee. They shall take away thy nose and thine ears, and thy remnant shall fall by the sword. They shall take thy sons and thy daughters, and thy residue shall be devoured by fire. Both of these passages indicate that those who are disloyal to God were punished with a physical disfigurement. The symbolic significance of the removal of the nose all boils down to one thing: the separation of man and God. The nose is the entrance in which air, akasha, spirit, or ether flow into the body and enriches it.
I can breathe through my mouth.
It is the nose that
Not ideal, but I can.
warns one of a stove left on, a rotten potato in a root cellar, a spiked tea. It is undoubtedly a powerful survival tool as well as a visible indication of identity and personality. Removing the nose would deprive a person of their ability to judge, to fully understand and comprehend their surroundings. Symbolically, this could refer to the ability to judge good from evil, not just on the physical but in the spiritual. Let's take a look at something we've all seen before: the Sphinx.
Oh no!
You can tell that the nose has purposely been obliterated as well as the beard. The cause of this obliteration...
Was it purposeful? It just kind of seems like over time that the parts that are most outward, the parts with the least support, are gonna erode more quickly, right? The whole thing's eroded dreadfully. Those parts in particular are kind of off-hangs. They're gonna be vulnerable to structural issues. Oh, was it done on purpose? That's a shame. Heard it was Napoleon's cannon. A fellow cinephile, I see. Ridley Scott. What a based individual. Ridley Scott did a Napoleon movie a while back. And there was a scene where Napoleon was shooting the pyramids and stuff with cannons, and Ridley Scott in an interview was like, I don't know if he ever actually did that, but it was the easiest way to say he took Egypt. And that cracks me up. Because, like, to be fair, if it was a complete fiction, yeah, that would be a shorthand way of saying it, but also it's a real person and real historical events, so maybe don't make stuff up for your cinematic convenience.
To be the work of Sufi Sheikh leader Saim al-Dar, who apparently witnessed people idolizing the Sphinx and decided to blow it up with powerful explosives. However, it's well known that the Sufis are a religiously tolerant sect of Muslims, so this commonly accepted theory holds very little water. There's not much more information on Saim al-Dar. Legend says that the Sphinx cursed and killed him with sandstorms a short time after the destruction. Some still cling to the Napoleon explanation, despite the fact that Napoleon fancied himself an amateur historian and showed great interest and respect for the Muslim faith. So both of these explanations are underwhelming and fail to explain the destruction of other statues in Egypt. A popular theory in modern days is that the noses were removed to obscure the racial identity of the statues, and thus the identity of the inhabitants of mighty Egypt. If that was the objective, then why are there so many full-color paintings allowed to be left intact? We can clearly see the facial and tonal features of these Egyptians in statues and paintings left behind. If there was some kind of agenda to simply destroy the true identity of the Egyptians, it would all be dust. From the book,
Nope, this isn't an AI voice.
The Gods of the Egyptians, we have a quote. Unlike the foreigners, Syriac or otherwise, living in Egypt, the native Egyptians never converted to Christianity. It was the Syrian migration to Alexandria that constituted the bulk of the early Christians to Egypt.
Generty with 50 bits says, I realize I'm way behind in bringing this up, but Komodo dragons are awesome, especially because the locals have figured out that as long as they show them respect, it draws tourists to their villages. I was going to share a comedy song, but despite a fun Star Wars joke, I wasn't sure how fond you'd be of it. Yeah, probably not. The time's probably passed for it.
The destruction of noses on statues goes beyond Egypt and into ancient Greece and Rome. We see here that not only statues of gods, but members of the Caesar's own family were vandalized in this manner. Here, we can see a cross carved into the head of the statue, and here, the same icon on this Egyptian wall. It's understandable to assume that the missing noses on all these statues are due to accidental damage, erosion, or the instability of the material in which it was formed from. And that may be very true with some of these. However, some of these, I think, have a different story. When we look into the etymology of the word nose, we get a very interesting definition. Nose. To put the nose out of joint. This common expression to signify that a new favorite has displaced the old, or that a newcomer has rendered the welcome of one who preceded him less warm than formerly, has no reference to the nasal organ. The Gaelic term, nos, custom usage, whence to put the nos out of joint would be to disarrange or alter the pre-existing culture or usage.
What's the conspiracy here? I think they're just trying to give a general idea that there's an esoteric secret meaning to statues and images with their noses missing.
As when a new baby is born into a family, it attracts to itself the favor formerly accorded to its immediate predecessor. When it comes to noses and gnosis, there's an undeniable link. No one person has all the answers, but what any honest researcher can realize is that we have lost the knowledge of something so fundamental as our history. These statues are truly a symbol of our current state of mind unless we pull back the veil. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for more.
That was nothing! That was literally just, isn't this weird? This is weird. Jesus Christ. Oh god. Kennedy Walker. I don't know if you remember this gentleman. He featured on Sovereign Citizen Day somewhat recently, in that he tried to sell magic mushrooms at the farmer's market. It didn't go well. The police showed up. He tried to arrest the police. That failed. You know how it is. Anyway, he's also a flat earther, so here's a video he did about the flat earth.
Is the flat earth debate stupid? I think it kind of is. Do you realize that these idiots do not have any knowledge of the heliocentric model? And they come into chat rooms and they say, "Earth is not flat. Are you stupid?" That's what they say. Even though they don't know anything about it. Watch. You want to win a flat earth debate? You say this. What prediction can you make with the heliocentric model? That's it.
Me personally, none. But scientists who use it know how to. That's how we predict, you know, places the planets are going to be relative to us in the sky. It's how you know when eclipses are going to happen. Like, what do you mean?
It's nothing. It is zero. These clowns cannot predict when the sun will be on their longitude. That means when it's noon at their physical location, their watch is going to say 2:30. Okay? They can't predict eclipses with the
We do predict eclipses.
heliocentric model. You can't predict.
How do you think we predict eclipses? Our models of how eclipses happen absolutely recognize that we are in a solar system. What are you talking about?
There's nothing. There's not one thing. You can't even predict noon. You can't predict one thing. Okay, so when I go into these flat earth chat rooms and I see people arguing about whether the earth is flat, do the stars go in a different direction in the south? Bro, you've never been to the south, so just stop. Just stop.
There are people who live in the southern hemisphere right now, though, that you could talk to about this. You could go there.
What prediction can you make? Okay, that's all you got to say. All right?
Stoner Gamer with 40 bits says, not to throw a wrench in this, I just got off work. Didn't know if you'd talked about Pulte calling you a shill and using that clip of you cooking him for trying to flex with his lame helicopter lab. Thought it was pretty funny that you live rent-free in these people's heads. I didn't know he had done that. That's funny, though.
Get the hamster wheels turning so that these people can realize how ignorant they really are. Because it's literally like a bad joke. Like, oh, flat earth is stupid, but I don't have a reason. I don't have any type of evidence. I don't have any type of proof that the earth is not flat. I look outside my door and it's flat. What, but you can't prove that the earth is flat. Yeah, I can. Put a level on your yard.
He thinks that taking a spirit level or like a bubble level, whatever, and putting it in your yard on the ground is proving that the earth is flat. That's not how anything works. That's not how anything works, and that's not what those are made for.
Is it flat? Is it level? Okay, great. Now it's your turn. Okay, here's a fake picture. All right, we're done here. We're done. That's a fake picture. That means I put the level on my yard, and now you've got a fake picture. That means I've got evidence. You've got zero evidence. Like, these people are so dumb.
Idiot says they're a genius on the bingo card.
It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Some of us have always known. Some of us have always felt it. We didn't need to find out that the earth was flat. We knew that people were using us at every moment. We knew that when we were sitting in class wasting our time, the whole time we were just like, oh, I want to get out of here. And then by the time we graduate, we have zero skills, you know.
Conspiracy theorist tells on themselves on the bingo card.
You can flip hamburgers because you're an educated American in the modern world. You're so educated that you can flip a hamburger. Wow, that's good job training. You literally do not think anything could be wrong when people spend 12,000 plus hours in school and don't end up knowing how to build computers or fix cars. You kidding me? Like, really?
Yeah, that's what post like secondary education is for. Well, that's what then you go to college or a trade school or something, learn further. School is like for the basics of like reading, writing, arithmetic, understanding literature to some extent, hopefully. Like, yeah, you should learn things in school.
My opinion is that every 8-year-old ought to know how to repair circuit boards. And everything...
That very practical. Do most people have to know how to repair circuit boards on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a yearly basis?
Else. Not just stopping there. Everything else. Every child ought to know how the air conditioning system works. Every child ought to at least understand all the theories behind all these basic devices that we use. These basic tools. People should...
You understand that requires a background in science and engineering, right? The same science that recognizes the Earth is round?
No. Things. And yet they don't know anything. It's the funniest thing that people need to know that the Earth is flat in order to wake up. Like, are you kidding me? Xbox and PlayStation are the same device. Do you play video games?
I mean, they do have different... They used to, at least. When he made this video, they used to have more different architectures. My understanding is now consoles pretty much just have PC architecture, which simplifies things a lot. But that hasn't historically always been the case. But it's also kind of irrelevant. They're different brands and companies, so it doesn't really matter that there's effectively the same device in the sense that they're both computers.
And you know that you're being conspired against. Have you ever gotten a game that wasn't as good as the first one? You know, you get the whatever, Sims 2. Not as good as the Sims 1.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. You think The Sims 1 is better than The Sims 2? I don't think that's true.
How is that possible? Or how about Red Dead Redemption 2? Oh my gosh. I have had this game for 1 month. I hate it so completely.
Oh, that's a hot take. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the greatest video games ever made. What are you talking about? And I like Red Dead Redemption 1, but 2 is a better game. They're both excellent games for their time.
I fucking hate this goddamn game. Like, wow. I feel like the people that made this game should be physically punished. Tortured, maybe. Whatever. I paid for it, so where's the product that I paid for? All I ended up with it was a shitty game. It doesn't fulfill any of the desires that any gamer has.
Again, Red Dead 2 is one of the most, like, critically acclaimed video games of all time. Like, the reviews for it were great, both critically and amongst the audience when it came out. Like, this is not a common take that he has.
None of them. Like, every action that you take really just digs you further deeper into a hole. You rob a train, you owe more in bounty. Even if, okay, so no one caught you. You were wearing a mask the whole time. You killed everybody on the train. And yet somehow you got a $500 bounty. Meanwhile, the entire take from the train is $200. Oh, that's because you don't know. No, it's because the mechanics are trash. Like every game. It's always been this. Honestly, the mechanics in Red Dead Redemption 1 were better than 2. So, seriously, who are these people that are in this fantasy world where it's like, oh, no, everything is legit, everything is face value? Nothing is face value. Doctors are not there to get you medication. They're there so that they can have a nice car and a big house so that they can judge your kids.
Doesn't understand his problem is capitalism on the bingo card. It feels like a lot of the problems he has are basically profit motive derived, but he doesn't know how to articulate that.
Trash. That's why. It's not so they can keep you safe, protect you. They don't care about you. The cops, they don't care about you.
Are we listening to Darkside Phil? Oh my god, Darkside Phil's takes on Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gave me an aneurysm. Did you hear some of his gameplay on that? And I fucking love Tears of the Kingdom.
You ever been pulled over?
He couldn't do some of the most basic-ass puzzles, and he blamed the game, as he always does.
Then why do I need to convince you that the Earth is flat? Oh, have you been drinking today? Oh. Shut the fuck up. Dude, did I swerve? Then just go away. Go away. Nope, we need police to keep us safe from ourselves so that we don't go 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. Yeah, good one. Have you ever been to the park with your dog? You can't get your dog out of here. I'm gonna call the police. Bitch, I don't need to tell you that the Earth is flat in order for you to know that something's going wrong. It's obvious. You can't tell? Bro, go drive.
So, he knows the Earth is flat because video games aren't as good anymore, according to him, and people yell at him with his dog when he goes to the park. Makes sense.
Turn around your city and find somebody actually.
Sorry, Goth Geek Gaming. What's that? Goth Geek Gaming said he knows that portions of Earth were constructed to be flat, right? Like suburbs or, asphalt and concrete areas like hills. I don't know if he knows that. Stoner Gamer says you can save this for meme stock if you want, but here's the tweet. I might be blocked. I'm not blocked! Beauteous. Fucking beauteous. Thank you.
Off their ass doing something, actually working, not writing someone a ticket, doing something useful. Seriously, try to find it. You might If there's a factory in town, you're going to have to go into the factory to find anybody working, because nobody works. Nobody does anything. Poor people will do something in a factory, but that's it. Middle class, no, they don't lift a finger for nothing. They just drink their macchiatos and whatever their pointless lives are about. I don't even understand
Does he
them.
think most people don't work?
Really?
How does he think people survive? The vast majority of people work or do something to make money. Of course, there are people who cannot for one reason or another and may receive assistance, which is good. But, like, what is his deal here? He seems so mad.
Is the Earth flat? Do I really need to tell you any evidence? Let's forget the fact that you walk outside your door and the Earth is flat. Let's just ignore that. If the video games that you buy are a scam...
Again, calling Red Dead 2 a scam is wild. One of the most detailed, complete, like, well put together video games I've ever played in my life.
If the police that you pay for are a scam, seriously, have you ever seen anyone get murdered?
Like, this would be like someone saying they came out of, like, Empire Strikes Back in, like, 1983 or whenever that came out and going, that movie sucked! What a scam! I want my money back! Like, it's fine to not like it. But when you start saying it's a scam, like, it's just so off base. Or, like, you went to go see a Beatles concert, and you're like, ah, what a scam! Like, okay, you're entitled to not enjoy it, but you're clearly in the minority here, and most people find it to be not only a competent product, but an excellent one. So calling it a scam just makes you look like an asshole.
Oh, me neither. Been all over this country. Never even seen a high...
Are you telling me NASA doesn't pay you to hide things? Unfortunately, I have to shill for NASA for free.
Speed change.
I would take their money. Fun fact, I would take NASA money to hide the flat Earth from you.
I drove for a living all over the country. Not even sure where all these police chases are occurring. I don't have any idea, because basically you never see this stuff in your life. What's your evidence that the Earth is flat? What is your evidence of anything? Does that make sense?
Got him.
Why don't you establish your beliefs before you come and question mine? Doesn't that make sense? Seriously. Once you get to the fact, like, if you can get one of these retard fucking globers...
Strike one!
To actually pay attention for long enough to figure out that they actually don't have any information, then it's over. Now, why can't these losers figure it out themselves? They're retards. Okay? Democracy can't work.
Strike deuces!
People are too dumb. Having a leader cannot work. People take advantage. And since people are too dumb to check those people that take advantage, it doesn't work. It didn't work. Capitalism. We need to save capitalism. No, we don't. It did not work. Hundreds of years of capitalism, and we didn't even figure out the Earth was flat. I
find that interesting that he's shitting on capitalism when he also calls everyone he doesn't like socialists. Sure, you can do accidentally based for that.
Useless.
I'm curious what he considers his economic or, like, political ideology to be, though, because these days he calls everyone he doesn't like a socialist. So what is he doing? Trey says, okay, my evidence for the Earth being round is all ballistic calculations that have been created since the invention of the Paris gun. We did it!
It's a pointless system. It doesn't work. Nobody does anything useful. Unless you consider making plastic garbage that's going to fall apart the first time you use it useful. I can't figure out the Earth is flat, but I just bought this thing from Walmart and it's already broken. But don't worry, definitely no one is trying to take advantage of me. No way. Yeah, you definitely don't work for 60 hours a week, do you? So that, what? So that your family can blame you for it. He was at work all the time. He was never there. He was at work all the time. What a horrible father. Okay, yeah, yep. He just grew up in a shell, and when he get popped out, he's just like work, 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 work. Why does he do it? We don't know. No one knows. Why does he work so much? We have no idea. He enjoys it. He hates his family, so that's why he goes to work.
Who is this man? A sovereign citizen and flat earther.
These people actually believe this type of shit. There's not really any getting through to these fucking losers. There really isn't. Like, there really isn't. Oh, on Benjamin's show the other day, 3,500 people in the audience couldn't come up with even one proof that they live on a ball. Meanwhile, they're all like, oh, retard, you can't even do.
There it is. Ah, strike 3. Kennedy Walker. Interesting fella. His most recent video from 11 days ago is called All Socialists Are Scum. So he's an eclectic individual in terms of his beliefs. Oh, let's move on and see what we have. Ooh, how about a video about how dinosaurs don't exist?
Existence of dinosaurs. We must first... When considering the existence of dinosaurs, we must first acknowledge that the vast majority of the scientists, universities... When considering the existence of dinosaurs, we must first acknowledge that the vast majority of these creatures are without question conceptual inventions rather than scientifically accurate depictions of Earth's inhabitants. These highly skeptical representations are prevalent not only in the captivating illustrations found in textbooks, but also in what can be best described as imaginative artwork in museum exhibits. These artfully...
There is undoubtedly a level of artistry that goes on to depicting dinosaurs, because we don't necessarily know the entirety of what their soft tissue look like. We have clues based on what we do have of their skeleton, about like what might have been attached to it, compare it to modern animals, and make educated guesses. But yeah, we don't have their soft tissue, so there is a level of artistry that goes into it. But you are saying they didn't exist at all. So I don't really know what to tell you about that.
Crafted depictions of prehistoric life forms.
Like, for instance, they were depicted as lizards for a long period of time. Slow lumbering lizards. We came to understand that that was an outdated and debunked belief about how they worked, and now more modern depictions look different. Those depictions might change again in the future. It's a tentative understanding of the topic, and that's fine. It's okay to have models that might change later.
Primarily serve to promote the evolutionary agenda and reinforce the notion of a history extending back millions of years. Defined by modern science, paleontology is the study of ancient life through the examination of fossils. This field seeks to reconstruct the history, evolution, and environments of extinct organisms by analyzing their remains and traces. As an interdisciplinary field, paleontology combines elements of biology, geology, and chemistry, utilizing techniques such as excavation, laboratory analysis, and comparative anatomy to explore past life and ecosystems. Sir Richard Owen was a prominent British biologist, paleontologist, and comparative anatomist who lived from 1804 to 1892.
Gothgeek Gaming says, proof that raptors exist. Here they are in their natural environment.
He is best known for his contributions to paleontology, including coining the term dinosaur, meaning terrible lizard, in 1842 to describe a distinct group of prehistoric reptiles. The initial claim of a dinosaur discovery was made by William Buckland in the early 19th century near Oxford, England. His most notable find consisted merely of a partial lower jaw with teeth and assorted fragments of limb and vertebral bones. Despite the lack of anything approaching a complete skeleton, these sparse and highly incomplete remains were deemed sufficient by Buckland to speculate about the existence of a previously unrecognized giant reptilian creature. He quickly described this creature as Megalosaurus in 1824, marking one of the first purported identifications of what would later be classified as a dinosaur. It is crucial to recognize the extreme scarcity of skeletal remains at the onset of the dinosaur fossil discovery era.
That's true. And there's also, I'm sure he's going to go into during stuff like the Bone Wars, a bunch of hoaxes and terrible, terrible atrocities, like destroying a bunch of bones so other people didn't get to them. But the thing is, we're not at the beginning of this field. It's been a while now. There are better standards, and our understanding of these topics has gotten incredibly nuanced and better than it was back then. So yeah, there are issues that you can point to, especially with the early days of the study. It does not mean that we are making stuff up now.
And the extent of far-reaching conjecture involved in reconstructing these creatures from mere fragments into fully illustrated life forms. This entire narrative, from the outset, was quite clearly built on highly speculative and conjectural imagination.
I mean, that's arguably how all science works, and then you start trying to falsify things. Yep.
Despite the extreme scarcity of fossil finds, the era of dinosaur discovery experienced rapid expansion.
Because they started to know where to look for the fossils and actively were able to hunt for them.
Newly described species quickly added to the growing body of known species. However, we must approach with skepticism the immediate assertion that these fossil remains are millions of years old. We have to consider that many of these
it doesn't understand the scientific method on the bingo card.
Discovered specimens might actually belong to a far more recent era, or might not represent new species at all, given the highly limited fossil evidence supporting such claims. Many of us commonly assume that the detailed depictions and illustrations of dinosaurs that we see in academic books and museum exhibits are based on the discovery of complete skeletal fossil remains, allowing for an accurate depiction in their structure and anatomy. In reality, the opposite is true. These depictions rely on highly incomplete fossil remains, fueling the inherent skepticism that continues to surround the dinosaur narrative from the start.
I feel like this entire discussion that he's had has devolved, because at this point he's not even arguing these bones aren't being found. He's arguing that the models we have of them might not be entirely accurate. And I don't even think most paleontologists would disagree with that. Like, for animals that we specifically don't have, at least, enough to make... The thing about finding an animal's skeleton is you really only, in theory, even to get a complete one, need half, right? Because animals have this thing, bilateral symmetry, where the left and the right sides tend to be the same. So, like, my right half of my body and the left half are pretty similar, at least in terms of my skeleton, right? So if you got only half of it, you could assume the other half by just kind of, like, doing a copy and flipping it on the other side. The same thing could exist for, dinosaurs. They are also bilaterally symmetrical. But the fact that we sometimes have to make educated guesses isn't an indictment of the study. It's just a part of it, and those models change when new information comes. Like, what is he even trying to say here? At best, he's saying, oh, our belief on what specific dinosaurs looked like might be slightly wrong. Okay?
The lack of substantial academic documentation only further fuels skepticism about these alleged findings. Initially, a flurry of discoveries occurred within a short span, and the eagerness to construct these creatures through vivid illustrations not only raises questions, but also strongly suggests an underlying agenda. Consider a scenario.
People just think they're cool. People just think dinosaurs are really cool because it's interesting.
In which numerous large crocodiles and their remnants, still found today in Oxfordshire, England, display physical characteristics remarkably similar to those attributed to Megalosaurus and various other supposed dinosaurs.
I assume that line is supposed to imply that the bones are actually alligators? They're not. Sharing traits with a thing doesn't make it the thing. Generdy says, stuff like this is why I wrote a character who goes off on about how utterly insignificant humanity is cosmically. Also, my favorite explanation of how new humanity is in the universe. If the universe started on Monday, humanity existed since Friday night.
Aligning closely with the depiction of giant lizards. We must recognize that fossil remains are typically discovered in a disarticulated state, often highly incomplete and fragmented, resembling merely a few scattered pieces of an extensive puzzle.
And that's where the work comes in, where people have taken literally their entire lives to try and find specific species of dinosaur, to put them together, to study them, to learn more about them.
Could these findings actually represent an extinct genus within the crocodile family, rather than entirely new and distinct species?
No!
Further investigation raises a compelling question. Could disarticulated crocodile bones be rearranged into a skeletal structure in any chosen posture, mimicking what is currently recognized as a dinosaur when positioned strategically?
I would like you to try and do that and then have a paleontologist look at it and have them laugh at you about how obvious your fake is.
This possibility certainly exists, both historically and in present times.
Try it. Go try that right now and see how it works for you. I notice you didn't do that and you're just saying it. I wonder why.
These bones could even be manipulated into a bipedal arrangement, further reinforcing the traditional depiction of dinosaur anatomy and posture for many of those we commonly recognize today. Consider the typical crocodile skull, which in many ways bears a striking resemblance to those of many alleged dinosaur species.
I mean, only in that it's kind of a snout with sharp teeth, I guess?
Now imagine this skull as fragmented and highly incomplete.
I don't think so. That looks a lot different than most dinosaurs to me. Like, the texture alone is not the same.
Providing ample opportunity for constructing any desired interpretation, which is then depicted in detailed illustrations as a complete skull. We can further acknowledge that different reconstructors inevitably yield different results, clearly illustrating that these attempted reconstructions should not be regarded as accurate to begin with. This highlights that this particular field of paleontology has historically relied heavily on sheer speculation, conjecture, and imagination in its attempt to depict, illustrate, and bring these ancient creatures to life. The existence of dinosaurs was first speculatively hypothesized by a museum head, coincidentally in the mid-19th century during the heyday of evolutionism, before
the heyday of evolutionism. That'll count for scientism on the bingo card.
A single dinosaur fossil had ever been found.
They had. They just weren't called dinosaur fossils. People had unearthed large bones. It's speculated that that may have helped lead to, like, dragon myths and the myths of other large creatures, because people unearthed these large bones and didn't know what they were, so they came up with myths, as people tend to when they don't have an actual explanation for something.
The mainstream press and media worldwide got to work hyping stories of these supposed long-lost animals, and then, lo and behold, 12 years later in 1854, Ferdinand Vanderveer Hayden, during his exploration of the upper Missouri River, found proof of Owen's theory. A few unidentified teeth he mailed to leading paleontologist Joseph Leidy, who several years later declared them to be from an ancient extinct Trachodon dinosaur, which, ironically, means rough tooth. Firstly, it should...
Why is that ironic? That ironically? What's ironic about that?
Be needless to say that it is impossible to reconstruct an entire hypothetical ancient animal based on a few teeth. But even more importantly, it is dubious that a myriad of ancient reptile, bird, and reptile-mammal transitional forms necessary for the blossoming theory of evolution would be hypothesized and then conveniently discovered by teams of evolutionists and archaeologists purposely out looking to find such fossils.
I mean, is it? You think you have a hypothesis for reasons presumably based on your understanding of science currently. So you go, if what we know now or what we think now is true, you might find this thing. And then you go looking and then you find that thing. Pretty good evidence you're on the right track. What are you talking about? Trey says, fun fact, there was speculation about very large creatures that no longer walked the earth for a very long time, but it wasn't considered socially acceptable amongst religious communities to assert that God would allow one of his creations to go extinct. It was the first position that people needed to argue that there were species that were aware of that, although they used to be alive, no longer are. Yes, I actually heard that. Like, the idea that things even could go extinct used to be a point of contention. Like, people would be like, extinction doesn't exist. Crazy to think about, considering 99.9% of all species that have ever existed are extinct.
And it is even more dubious that such fossils have supposedly existed for millions of years, but were never found by or known to any civilization in the history of humanity until evolutionism's renaissance in the
Again, no, people did find them, they just didn't know what they were.
mid-19th century. What motivation, other than a pre-existing agenda, could prompt someone to identify a mere handful of fossils as remnants of an ancient extinct species, and then attempt a reconstruction from such scant remains? These fossils were declared millions of years old, assertions made a century before radiometric dating techniques were in development. Instead,
I would imagine they based that off of some other measurement that they had. I don't know if it had to do with the strata they were found in. I don't know. But I imagine they had a reason.
They relied on relative dating methods such as stratigraphy and
there you go.
The use of index fossils. These methods, often criticized for their imprecision and susceptibility to circular reasoning, faced inherent challenges in providing accurate dating estimations, further perpetuating the conjectural narrative surrounding dinosaurs. As an example, we will examine the first illustration of the very popular Tyrannosaurus rex, shown here, published shortly after its discovery in 1905. Looking closer clearly demonstrates the significant conjecture prevalent in the early days of dinosaur research. Initially, scientists relied on highly limited evidence, only parts of the skull, a few jaw fragments, several ribs, scattered vertebrae, and assorted bone fragments. Upon its first discovery, the Tyrannosaurus rex fossils accounted for only an estimated 15% of its entire skeleton, which
now we have complete T-Rex skeletons, though. You can see them. The Fields Museum has one.
were used to reconstruct and depict its image. From this scant evidence, reconstructing a complete depiction of the animal and then declaring it a new species required a degree of faith and speculation bordering on the farcical.
Except, over time we found the entire skeleton, so now our understanding of it is based on the entire skeleton. So what are you talking about? You're talking as if we only still have like 15%. And frankly, even if we did only have 15%, that's still enough to make certain speculations upon. It existed, like, it clearly existed, Eric. What do you think this is? Lance with 50 bits says, hey, you know what science does when it develops a new technique? It goes back and applies it to things to which it may be relevant, like radiometric dating to the oldest fossil of X species. Fenekagami says, hey bud, isn't weird basically no evidence proving the Bible true has ever come from a non-Abrahamic scholar? Crazy.
Most notably, the absence of...
Yeah, here's the Fields Museum T-Rex Zoo. Yeah, cool one. This is actually one of the ones that's the real fossils on display, too. Usually they'll have copies, for obvious reasons. They don't want them to get damaged out in the open, stuff like that. Zoo actually is the actual fossils, I believe.
Of arms and legs among the discovered fossils raises critical questions about the far-reaching assumption that this creature was bipedal. Interestingly, the minimal changes in the depiction of the Tyrannosaurus rex from its original 1905 illustration up to modern day, despite numerous subsequent fossil discoveries, challenge the likelihood that such speculative interpretations could have been so accurate on the first attempt.
But, like, they weren't accurate initially. Like, if you look at, like, first depiction of T-Rex, or any, like, early dinosaur, you could see it's off. Like, this is an old-ish one. This probably isn't the oldest one. It has a general shape, but, like, it's incorrect in its proportions and posture, stuff like that. And it looks very much like a big lizard, which we now know to not be accurate. Our models of these things have changed as we've gotten more information.
This scenario underscores the need for caution and critical evaluation in paleontological interpretations, especially when based on such highly incomplete data. Given that the original depictions were based solely on imaginative interpretations of so few fossils discovered, it is surprising how little they have evolved into more accurate representations, despite the continual discovery of alleged new fossils.
Again, a modern depiction of a T-Rex. I know I've seen a few with feathers at this point, is quite a bit different than those original paintings or sketches, right? I don't understand. I'm not even saying that it's going to turn out that this is 100% accurate or anything. Like, I'm not foolish enough to think we never get anything wrong. But, like, you're complaining about a problem that isn't even real? Bizarre. Freyline with a link. Retro versus modern T-Rex. In 1900s through 1960s, it had an upright kangaroo tripod pose. It was considered cold-blooded and reptilian. 1990s, a more horizontal pose, active and warm-blooded. And in the 2020s, built for walking, sparse or no fuzz, chonky, and heavily muscled. As we learn things about topics, we adjust our understanding.
David Wozni,
like the whole point of science.
An American writer, said, "Why were there no discoveries by Native Americans in all the years previous when they roamed the..."
Did you spend a lot of time talking to them, or did you just give them smallpox blankets? I think that might be part of the problem.
American continents. There is no belief in dinosaurs in the Native American religion or tradition. For that matter, why were there no discoveries prior to the 19th century in any part of the world?
A, again, pretty sure there were. But B, when everyone is subsistence farming, they don't have a lot of time to investigate the weird bones they found.
According to the World Book Encyclopedia, before the 1800s,
I wish, Rick M.
No one ever knew that dinosaurs ever existed. During the late 1800s and early 1900s, large deposits of dinosaur remains were discovered in western North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Dinosaur deposits also lie in Belgium, Mongolia, Tanzania, West Germany, and many other parts of the world. Why has man suddenly made all these discoveries? The land areas of Belgium, Mongolia, Tanzania, Western Germany, and the Americas as well were inhabited and very well explored for thousands of years, and there were no discoveries until the 19th century. Why? Wayne Grady, the American journalist, wrote, "The period following this, from around 1870 to 1880, became a period in North America where some of the most underhanded shenanigans in the history of science were conducted. In what was known as
the Bone Wars,
as the Great Dinosaur Rush, or Bone Wars, Edward Drinker Cope of the Academy of Natural Sciences and Othniel Marsh of the Peabody Museum of Natural History began a lifelong rivalry and passion for dinosaur hunting. They started out as friends, but became bitter enemies during a legendary feud involving double-crossing, slander, bribery, theft, spying, and destruction of bones by both parties."
Yeah, this is considered, like, one of the most, not one of the most fucked up things, but, like, in terms of, like, having no sportsmanship, having no respect for the actual work, but having a priority of beating someone else, not considered great. Like, this was taught to me, like, I went to college initially because I wanted to do psychology, and, like, this was taught to me, completely different field, as an example of, like, the lengths people historically have gone to do research while destroying actively, like, the things that they really should be caring about to beat another person. Like, this is, like, an all-time fuck-up in terms of their behavior towards each other in the field. This is considered a big no-no, and a prime example of what you shouldn't do in terms of, like, scientific ethics.
Marsh is said to have discovered over 500 different ancient species, including 80 dinosaurs, while Cope discovered 56. Out of the 136 dinosaur species supposedly discovered by the two men, however, only 32 are presently considered valid. The rest have all been proven to be falsifications and fabrications. None of them...
So some of them were real then, is what you're saying. Again, I just find it weird. You can point out that these guys are scumbags, but what is your point, Eric? What is your specific thesis? Just this is sus?
Once claimed to find a complete skeleton either, so all their work involved reconstructions. In fact, to this day, no complete skeleton has ever been found.
Untrue.
And so all dinosaurs,
at least in terms of, like, having 99.9% at least,
are reconstructions.
Let me put it this way. We certainly have all of certain species. One sample might have certain bones and another might have another, but in the same way that you could, in theory, take two human skeletons and kind of figure out what a human looked like, even if you only had some of each, as long as there was no overlap, you know? Same deal.
Discoveries and excavations most typically seem not to be made by disinterested people, such as farmers, ranchers, hikers, outdoor recreationalists, building, construction, industry, basement excavators, pipe...
That happens all the time. You can go right now on Google and find, like, farmer finds fossil, kid finds fossil. Every once in a while there's, like, an article where someone finds one.
Blind trench diggers.
And I'm talking about big ones, you know? Like, anyone can find little fossils, like at the beach or whatever. Usually those are of, like, sea life, of course, but...
And mining.
Harold Ebbleman with 40-bit says, in my voting booth right now for the down ballot initiatives, despite my deep red state, get out and vote, y'all. Thank you so much for voting.
Industry personnel, but rather by people with vested interests, such as paleontologists, scientists, university professors, and museum organization personnel, who were intentionally looking for dinosaur bones, or who have studied dinosaurs previously. Do dinosaur professionals with vested interests have some kind of well-kept secret about knowing where to search that
yes? Like, it's not a secret in the way you're describing, but do they have the expertise? Yes, they know where to go because they study fossils and they know the conditions under which they're formed, so yes, they know where to look for fossils.
Dinosaur amateurs without vested interests are unable to figure out? The finds are often made during...
It's wild that flat earthers just, like, lie like this. They just lie and talk about reality like it's something completely different than what it actually is. And they'll be like, this thing doesn't happen, and then you Google it and it's like, wait, no, that thing happens all the time. What are they talking about?
Special dinosaur bone hunting trips and expeditions by these people to faraway regions already inhabited and explored. This seems highly implausible. More believable is the case of the discovery of the first original Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947, which were unintentionally discovered by a child, and which were all published by 1955. In some cases of discoveries of dinosaur bones by people who do not work in a job related to dinosaurs, it was suggested to them by some dinosaur professional to go look or dig in a certain area. Also very interesting to note are special areas set aside and designated as dinosaur parks, for which amateur dinosaur hunters are required to first obtain a dinosaur hunting license. The previous quotes provide an insightful glimpse into the early history of dinosaur hunting, and offer a preview of what we can anticipate in the future as new discoveries come to light. While it would be...
Phyllis Filler says, these are dubious assertions.
entirely incorrect to deny the existence of extinct species from our past, many of which have been well documented, it is essential to recognize the extremely unreliable and imaginative nature of this particular field of paleontology and its history. A distinct pattern emerges, suggesting that dinosaur discoveries predominantly occur within the realm of vested interests and experts in paleontology. This pattern is in stark contrast to the absence of such discoveries before paleontology was recognized as a scientific discipline, and the complete lack of dinosaur evidence in the historical records of ancient civilizations. Furthermore,
it almost feels like someone complaining about a lack of, like, historical record before written history. Does that make sense? Like, he's like, why aren't there recorded findings before the study that recorded the findings existed? Like, because that's what? How do you think things work?
Even in modern times, the rate of new dinosaur discoveries, whether by vested or non-vested parties,
I haven't, Dillis Filler.
remains notably rare.
I heard it got bad reviews, so I've been kind of about trying it.
Underscoring even more of this truly intriguing pattern. In a critical observation, it is noteworthy that despite claims of over 1,000 dinosaur species once inhabiting the Earth, a significant majority of these discoveries occurred within a relatively narrow time frame. Intriguingly, this period coincided with, or suspiciously aligned with, the era when the theory of evolution was fast gaining popularity and acceptance.
I'm so tired. So tired by the anti-evolution people.
Despite the momentous advancements in modern excavation technology, and during the most populated period in world history, discoveries of dinosaur fossils have seemingly become increasingly rare. Furthermore, when such
Stone Corbell says, strange that no one was studying neutrinos before 1956. Why didn't the ancient Persians have anything to say about them? Strange.
fossils are found, they are typically not discovered organically by neutral parties, such
Again, you can look up stories all the time of people finding, like, fossils in their yard or farm or whatever.
as construction crews or site builders, but rather by those directly involved in paleontology. Efforts to access and examine original dinosaur fossils, whether from museum exhibits or custodians claiming to possess them, are systematically denied, regardless of one's affiliation with scientific or paleontological fields. This field of paleontology remains closely guarded, with
Did he just say you can't look at bones? Like, you can't and I can't because we don't have the expertise, but Eric, if you were someone in the field and had a relevant reason to look at specific bones, you could definitely put in a request with the institution that holds them. Like, what are you talking about? It's literally paleontologists' job to look at this stuff, and you think they're not allowed to look at it?
limited participation resembling more of an exclusive fraternity than an open scientific pursuit. Although I was once captivated by the allure of these creatures, their fascinating illustrations, and the sheer
He's talking about how the display models aren't actual bones, but some of them are, like I talked about earlier. Sue the T-Rex is. You can find them.
concept of prehistoric life, I have come to a stage where it has become crucial to question the plausibility and veracity of this entire account from its beginning. As I searched deeper into its origins and discovered a vast array of discrediting factors, it became clear that many fraudulent cases and highly speculative artistic interpretations have been employed from the outset to advance this naturalistic, evolution-based agenda.
Naturalistic. Hearing naturalistic as a negative is so funny to me.
The absence of any third-party...
How dare you not base your study on potential supernatural origin?
analysis and scrutiny surrounding dinosaur remains highlights a stark reality where vested interests exert complete control over and shape the entire dinosaur narrative. We must consider the possibility that the narrative surrounding dinosaurs has been an elaborate deception from the start, one that furthers the theory of evolution and the concept of ancient life forms. It becomes evident that there is a restrictive aspect to this field of paleontology.
Does he understand that we could have zero evidence for dinosaurs? Like, we could not know about dinosaurs. Let's say humans had never found fossils for some reason of dinosaurs. We had no idea they exist. We would still understand evolution. Like, evolution is not based off the fact that dinosaurs existed. Like, we don't need dinosaurs for evolution to make sense.
Exclusive to experts, where third-party involvement, critique, and scrutiny are not permitted. This firm exclusivity reveals that only a privileged few within the field are credited with these discoveries, pointing to a clear lack of impartial findings from unaffiliated parties. While these experts may claim their expertise directs them to prime locations for such finds, it is important to consider the ratio of paleontologists to the general working-class population in particular areas, where one might certainly expect random dinosaur discoveries.
What?
Consider the extensive amount of daily excavation activities undertaken by builders and construction workers worldwide.
Most places aren't fit to form fossils. Like, do you think fossils form everywhere under all circumstances? They don't. They need specific conditions. But even then, yes, sometimes during construction or whatever, yep, people find fossils.
Especially in regions purportedly rich in dinosaur fossils. We find ourselves in the most populated era in world history, equipped with an abundance of massive earth-moving equipment that surpasses anything seen in prior history.
Yeah?
Basic
Did you know that a giant backhoe isn't the best way to meticulously sort through Earth to find fragile fossils?
Calculations reveal a notably skewed ratio, conservatively estimated at 1 in 10 million, between the number of paleontologists and everyday workers who might incidentally discover dinosaur remains.
Yeah, because they're looking for them. He just said, can you believe when you're looking for something intentionally, you find it more often than when you're not looking for it? Yeah, I can believe that. MH Dark Beast says, speaking of dinosaurs, you see the insanity they announced? It requires 125 magazines and parts. What? Oh my god. Oh, it's like a model? Jesus Christ. Build the Power Rangers Megazord. This must take forever, starting for only $1.95. Glad I'm not a model person.
Is it statistically feasible for nearly all discoveries to be made exclusively by this very small group of professionals?
Not exclusively, but again, most of them, yeah, because that's their job.
This stark contrast highlights...
Be like saying, can you believe people at McDonald's make more cheeseburgers than the average person? Like, yeah, that's their job.
It's that fossil discoveries are almost always credited to paleontologists, who not only unearth these relics, but also assign their allegedly ancient ages. As well,
Freyline with 40 bits says, I'm going to be honest, construction workers probably don't report most fossils because it would fuck up the work schedule. I could see that on occasion, yeah.
It is these experts who classify the remains as dinosaurs or as new species, almost always relying on highly scant evidence, fueling continual doubts regarding the sufficiency of data underpinning such categorical identifications. While it is true that past species have become extinct and their remains have been uncovered, we must acknowledge that the initial history of dinosaur discovery in particular was entirely conjectural, concerning the alleged ancient age and the attempted reconstructions of unearthed fossils. It is also important to consider that no photographs of fossils or remains from this initial period of rapid discovery are available. We only have artistic interpretations, despite the availability of photography at the time. All illustrations and representations of these creatures were entirely speculative, given that less than 15% of an alleged dinosaur's remains were typically discovered. Given these considerations, when reflecting on the formative years of the dinosaur discovery era, it becomes imperative to thoroughly scrutinize the credibility of the overall account.
Eric is insufferable. Oh, this is terrible. I do probably want to watch this another day because it's like 2 hours long. But Witsit gets it. Did an interview with Owen Benjamin, and it's fucking terrible.
What's up? Welcome to the show. I'm excited about it. Long awaited. As you see from the title and the intro, we have my boy Owen Benjamin on. Share the stream. It kind of glitched where I had it set up, so we have it running now. So we're on YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin X. Share it, and yeah, we'll just jump right into it. So we'll bring on my homie without further ado. Owen, thanks for coming.
Owen is a virulent anti-Semite and Holocaust denier. Mitch Darkbeast says, are we going to play some Pong? And then there's a link. Bernie Sanders appears with Pokimane and Valkyrie tonight to stump for Harris. Okay. It made me lose my place.
Coming on, brother.
Thanks for having me. I was just sharing it.
Nice.
Dude, yeah, I'm pumped to do this. Wits it, gets it. Sharing.
Man, you know what's so funny? I want about that intro song. I just randomly, I kind of like freestyled that song. I was like testing out this app on an iPad. Those lyrics were in my head, obviously, already. But anyway, long story short.
It didn't play for me.
Oh, really?
It only started with my thing. I missed it. I was like pumped to hear it too.
No, it's all good. This is what's so funny about it. The lyrics, I wrote you those lyrics. So you remember that people used to send you, back in the day, you would take PayPal and they would send you poems?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I can do that. So I sent you like my like rap style poem and you're reading it and you're like, this is kind of like rap. You're like, but it's actually kind of good. And you went in and got your keyboard and you started playing it. And it was like Mankind's Metamorphosis.
Oh, no way. Dude, I can't remember that. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was my PayPal, but those are the same lyrics pretty much that I use in that song. So that's pretty funny.
That's beautiful, man. I don't hate rap like I figured out what it is. I don't like degeneracy. It's not like the rhythm or spoken word or hooks or anything like that. I'm fine with all that. I realized that that's why I always hated rap, is the culture around it. So I'm totally fine with rap as long as it's not, degrading.
Yeah, I feel you. Same thing. One more funny synchronicity about that. So I went around during COVID. And
you know what he means by that?
I was like doing activism or whatever. I was like, this isn't a prison, blah, blah, blah. And I was in Minnesota, and one of the only times I've ever tried to say the lyrics from that song, I started saying it. And I swear this app is so wild. A black dude just walked up to a bike in front of everyone on my stream, just walked up to a bus and stole the bike off the front of it because they wouldn't let him on and just took off.
Oh, yeah. Now they're all about it, man. And that's one reason why I did that a couple days on 50 Cent. Like how much because whenever someone comes out like a.
Okay, I gotta save that whole thing for another day because that's already incredibly frustrating. It's already making my blood pressure go up. I just can't.
Hello, everyone. Today's recording date is January 15th, 2021. This is another Hold the Line video. I'm going to read something to you off my screen, and I think you're going to like it. So hang on to your hats. Here we go. A peaceful transition is coming. Trump will not be sworn in as the 45th President of the United States on January 20th. Trump will take office as the 19th President of the United States on March 4th under the restored republic. Let me explain. You believe you live in a nation called United States of America. This nation hasn't existed since 1871, when this country ceased to be a nation and became a corporation belonging to the City of London. Every time you see an American flag with a gold fringe and gold tilt attached to it, it represents the corporation, not the country.
Getting into sovereign citizen stuff.
This is the reason you can never make progress financially. This is why the law always seems to be against the average citizen, while the rich and the elite literally get away with murder. And
doesn't understand her problem is capitalism on the bingo card.
And worse things. If Biden, Harris, Pence, Pelosi, etc. are arrested for their crimes before January 20th, there will be no one to assume the presidency. Since Trump has not been certified as the president,
there's a whole line of succession.
Presidential winner by Congress, he cannot remain president. If there is no president on January 20th, the corporation known as the United States of America will be dissolved. The military will then become the guardians of the nation during the transition. People will then have irrefutable proof that the election was stolen by foreign entities and that Trump was chosen by a landslide. Trump then assumes the presidency as the 19th president of the United States. The last president elected before America became a corporation was Ulysses S. Grant.
He's so excited about a military coup. Oh yeah, this is like common for Trump conspiracy theorists. They are all for a military coup. This doesn't even faze me. This is so common.
Republic restored. Now, I really don't know all the details involved in this. Just know the end goal has always been the destruction of the 1871 corporation and the return of America to the people of the constitutional republic it was always intended to be. The next month and a half will be chaotic. Make sure you have plenty of water, food, your meds, anything else you need. Comply with the National Guard and United States Marine Corps. They took oath to the nation, not the corporation. The Act of 1871. Be vigilant. Pray. Your nation has returned to you. I just want to say I'm Canadian, and I could not be more proud of all of you and everything you're doing to literally save the world. You Americans, MAGA, you have shown everyone how to do it. You set an example and you lit the world on fire. You're salt of the earth, and I love you. God bless America.
Please vote.
Hello, everyone.
She won't, because she's Canadian. But, you know, still vote. I'm going to have to end a little early. I'm going to be honest. I had electrolysis yesterday, and it's hidden by makeup, but like this entire bottom of my face is red and throbbing and itchy. So I think I need to end so I can take my makeup off and put on calamine lotion. So thanks everyone for hanging out. I appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow for... What are we gonna do tomorrow? Maybe Sovereign Citizens, maybe Chud Watch. We should probably do some Chud Watch. Love you too, Mr. Last. I'll be alright. Once I get this off and put some lotion, it'll be good. Thanks, Stoner Gamer. Let's see who we're gonna raid on Twitch. Good to see you too. Oh. Alrighty, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone. Make sure you vote in the next costume poll. Like I said, the Spock ears are here. Just waiting for the rest of the costume, which I think is supposed to get here Friday or so. That's what Amazon says. I do have the Spock ears, though. So that's cool. Alright, have a great night, everyone.